Hi, it's James from the Canadian Urban Garden, and today we're back out in the front yard where we built that raised bed in our last video, and we're going to do some planting in that bed. Almost all vegetables prefer full sun, but some of them will tolerate and even thrive in partial shade. If you remember from the last video, we have a few hours of morning sun here in the front yard. And so we're going to plant using a couple different methods. We're going to plant mostly with the square foot gardening method today, but I'm going to show you another way to do it rather than just using the sticks, the bamboo. So we're going to make a grid on top of the bed and then use that and leave it there all summer to plant it. Okay, so what you want to do is take a measuring tape and at every spot, at every foot, you see my bed is not quite 4 feet wide. It's 4 feet wide on the outside, but on the inside it's not. So I'm not going to get four feet totally there. So, but what I'm going to do is just on the two sides plant a bit less. So every foot you make a mark all the way around. Then on each of your marks, you're going to put in a screw. Don't put them all the way in. Once you have your screws in, then you just tie you just run a string across the bed at every set of screws. Here's what I'm going to plant in there. In the front row is going to be lettuce. The next row is going to be cabbage, then Swiss chard, then kale, and then peas. And the reason I'm doing that is because it'll start in the front to be the lowest and work its way up in height. And even though I put the square foot grid on this, the lettuce I'm not going to plant with the square foot method. I'm going to go way more high intensity. I'm going to make 2 rows and plant 1 row of romaine and 1 row of iceberg. These are the 2 main lettuces that I grow, and I'm actually going to leave 1 square foot to put in some seedlings that I already have going. They're hardening off, so I can't put them in today. Hardening off is the process from when you take seedlings from undercover, like inside or from your greenhouse, and you slowly acclimatize them to living outside. I have a whole video on it on the channel if you want to watch it. In the square foot gardening method, if you want to follow it, you would put 4 in, like that, right? And you'd get 4 heads of lettuce. But because the way I'm going to harvest it is called cut and come again, where you just grow the leaves and just come, and then you cut a few of the leaves off. I'll do a video on that, and then you let it grow and you come again. So what I'm going to do is just make 2 trenches like this. Right? Like I said, this one is going to be for those seedlings that I have hardening off. So I'll make those 2 trenches 6 inches apart because the square foot gardening calls for them to be 6 inches apart from each other. And then I'm going to make 1 row of iceberg. And really, they're going to be much closer together than you could even do with plugs. Just going to get right to the edge there. And I have another envelope. I don't even have enough here. And lettuce seeds, you want to plant them about a 1/2 inch deep, or even less. Could even be a 1/4 inch. I'm just going to plant all of them, may as well. I have another package if I need more later. In the next row I'm going to plant cabbage, and those take a long time to grow, so I started some of them inside, and I bought some seedlings from Urban Seedling. And you can tell the difference between greenhouse grown by master gardeners seedlings that look like this and my homegrown ones that I grew from the seeds that my neighbor gave me. So I have a couple of green cabbages and a couple of purple cabbages. And for cabbage, the spacing is 1 per square foot. So you just put 1 in each, and there you go. So you just want to take it, tease out the roots a little bit, and then plant it in a hole that's the same depth as the pot was. So when you plant a seedling, you make a hole that's as big as a little bit bigger than the pot. You take it out of its tray, tease apart the seeds, the roots a bit, and you put it into a hole so it's the same depth as the pot you had. In the third row, I'm going to put rainbow Swiss chard. So we're in the front. All my neighbors are asking me if I'm going to put flowers in. And they keep mentioning, you put vegetables everywhere or something like that. And this is my nod to them because rainbow Swiss chard is full of color. So the spacing for rainbow Swiss chard is 4 per square foot. So then what you do is you just put 4 holes like that. Once again, I'm going to leave 1 square foot because I have a few chard that are already seedlings that are hardening off right now that I'll put in when that process is done. If you look at a Swiss chard seed, you can see how big it is. There's going to be more than 1 seed inside each of those, more than 1 plant inside each of one of those seeds. So you just drop 1 in each of the holes. They're about a half inch deep. In the next row, I'm going to put kale, but I actually have 3 different varieties of it. Once again, I'm going to leave this one for the seedlings that I have going, hardening off. And then in the next 3, I'm going to put Vates, it's like a curly, normal kale. Lacinato, which is the black dinosaur kale. And a red Russian kale. And the spacing for those, kale's funny, it depends. It really depends on how big you want to harvest it. So you can put, if you want to harvest it as baby greens, you can do high intensity sowing like we did with the lettuce. You can put in 4 like you did with the Swiss chard, and then you can also put in just 1 and it'll grow huge. So what I'm going to do is a hybrid of those actually. I'm going to put in 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, that's a bit deep. 3, 4. And then 1 in the middle, and I'll harvest out the other ones as they get bigger, and I'll let the one in the middle grow huge. Okay? So that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, these ones don't have to be quite so deep. They're only at a 1/4 inch like lettuce seeds. So I'm going to drop a few in each one to ensure the germination. And then I can also just harvest the baby greens. This one's the more common Vates kale. And finally the red Russian kale. In the last row, I'm gonna grow peas. I have three different kinds here. I have some leftover shelling peas that grow about 1 foot tall. I have these Tom Thumb dwarf peas that also grow about 1 foot tall. And then I just found these Oregon Sugar Pod 2 peas that can grow up to 4 feet high, but this is a dwarf variety, so we're gonna try it here too. These ones are a few years old, so I don't know if they're gonna germinate, so I'm gonna put them in the shadiest spot so we don't waste the nice sun. And the square foot spacing for peas is 9 per square foot. So what I'm gonna do is make three holes like that, and 3 rows of 3. You can plant them closer together, like 1 inch apart from each other, something like that. And that's what I did in the back. But here we're going with the square foot gardening. Look at that, I just had 9. And peas, you can put them in about 1 inch deep. Then I have about 25 Tom Thumbs, but I'm gonna put them in these two, and then we'll grow the Oregon Sugar Pod in the other. Of the plants here that we have growing here, peas are the slowest germinator, but they're going to grow the fastest. In the shade, they'll probably grow a bit slower than they will in the full sun that we have in the backyard. But we'll take what we can get. If they don't grow very big, you can harvest them just for their shoots. It's like eating pea sprouts. Delicious. We just put in some shade-tolerant vegetables in the front yard, but before we finish up and water it in, I'm going to put up some protection. So I'm just watering in the cabbages. When you water your, I'll do some videos on watering later. But when you water your plants, you want to, as much as possible, water from the bottom, especially when you're watering in the evening like I am now, to keep the water off of the leaves. But when you water these in, you have to give it a pretty healthy dose of water. And that's it. That's our square foot garden with shade-tolerant vegetables in the front yard. Thank you for watching.